Welcome back to another video. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. So what a week it's been. A very dismal week for Tottenham, losing the North London derby last Sunday, and of course going out of the Europa League on Thursday, losing 3-0 to Dynamo Zagreb. We're going to go through all of the events from the past week, and of course preview the Aston Villa game as well. I'm delighted to bring on Craig and Alex. Craig, let's start with you. How are you feeling, and how has your week been?
Bloody awful, if I'm honest. The week, it's just, you know, we've gone from a bit of hope the last 3 games previously to absolute despair in the North London derby and on Thursday. So yeah, still not got over it fully, if I'm honest. But it is what it is. I'm still breathing.
Alex, welcome to the channel once again. How are you feeling this past week? Because of course it's probably, and I suppose I could probably describe it as Jose Mourinho's worst week at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club as club boss since he came in November 2019. You know, losing the North London derby in the fashion that we did, and then of course losing that game on Thursday, Dynamo Zagreb 3-0. It is just unbelievable. I'm still stunned and gobsmacked by the week that we have had. How are you feeling?
After the game against Dynamo, I mean the Arsenal game, I was really disappointed with the way that we played, and Arsenal did deserve it. But after the Dynamo game, I was livid. I was livid with the players. I was livid with the manager, because that was our season. That was our season. Because you know my thoughts on the Carabao Cup. If we win it, you know what our objectives are. It's Champions League. That cup was, he would be you know, he would have been put in history if he won the Europa League and got us into the Champions League, and it would have been a European trophy, and it would have been better than Pochettino, undoubtedly. But at the moment we're underachieving, and we'll go into it further because I've got a lot of thoughts on it, really, in my opinion. But yeah, that's it really.
Alex, how do you feel? I know this is going to be a stupid question about Tottenham going out of the Europa League. Obviously, we're all disappointed, but you know, people like me, you know, thought the way that Jose Mourinho spoke about this competition, as though it was like it was going to be a dead cert that we would go all the way to the final and lift the trophy. You know, perhaps that's some people being naive, you know, thinking Tottenham are going to very easily lift this trophy. But the way Jose Mourinho has treated it, he's treated it very seriously. For you on Thursday, did Jose Mourinho put out the right team? Because he made 7 changes. Did he put out a full strength team that you would have liked? Did he take it as seriously as you thought he would? Obviously, it's very disappointing going out of this competition, because when you think about that top 4 spot in the Premier League, it's going to look very, you know, it looks very hard to get that top 4 spot, particularly teams around us. And then you kind of thought as a Spurs fan that Jose Mourinho's putting all of his eggs in the basket of the Europa League, and then we go out in that fashion.
Well, it's the first thing with the top 4, it was over after the West Ham game, because as far as I'm concerned, I don't really like going just for one spot. If you're just going for one spot, it's it's just very unlikely. You know, if you're going for like 2 or 3 spots, I'll be more confident, because then the other teams have got to play each other. We played most of the teams already, so we played Chelsea, we played Liverpool. I think we played Manchester City twice. So really, it's just quite unlikely, really. So I think really the main thing is trying to get back into Europe, because I think that helps the squad, because with some of the young players that are coming back, like Skip and Sessegnon, it would be very good for them, especially that, you know, if whatever happens, we can bring through some of the youngsters next season, and that'll be a very good competition to use them in. So I think it's helped us this season. In terms of the squads, the game on Thursday, well, that's your squad. You know, that is your squad. You know how I feel about squads, Chris. That's what Pochettino is all about. He said, "This is my squad, okay, and this is what I believe in. Now, if I don't believe in you, you can go. You can go. But if you own my squad, you're going to be used." So it's not a case of, oh, why was Winks playing? well, why was Sissoko playing? Well, they're part of the squad, so they were there to play. But unfortunately, I don't think he believes. I don't think the players feel that they believe the manager believes in them. And I think the thing is, though, everyone has a go at Winks, and everybody has a go at Davies. These are two good players. Davies, a couple of seasons ago, was actually better than Rose, playing better than Rose. And it's because he's maybe also getting older. Maybe he needed to let him go. But Winks is a very good player. You can see he's lost his confidence. And the manager and him just do not fit. Because the way that he's been spoken to, maybe he said, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. And Vince is like thinking, well, if I pass this way, right, and I lose the ball, I'm not playing next game. I'll be out the team. I might not have been on the sub bench. So he's trying to play it safe. And you can see frustration in his face. No one's really moving as well, because that was the thing that was really frustrating for me, that there was times where Winks had the ball, and I even saw it with Ali. He wanted to make his runs, and he was trying to make runs, and no one found him, made the pass. But then Winks, he's got the ball, he's looking up front, he's looking ahead of him, and he's thinking, who's moving? Who's moving? You know, and this was the same with Dyer when he was in midfield, when he was playing in midfield. I remember when I was at the stadium one time, and Winks was in midfield, and Dyer was in midfield, and no one was moving up front. So I just don't understand why people have a go at him. The same with Doherty. I mean, I was getting annoyed with people just kept on looking at Doherty. I know his battle. He didn't play well on Sunday. But who was on the right hand side with Doherty? Bell. Bell, who's slow, doesn't track back. He does try his best, but he shouldn't be playing on the right. He should be maybe on a free roll up front. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And I think that's the whole thing with Jose Mourinho. We weren't like this with Poch. Blaming players and saying these players are useless and that player is useless. Now with Mourinho, because he doesn't take responsibility, it's like we're looking at that player, we're looking at that player. That's not Tottenham. That's Arsenal. That's what you hear from Arsenal fans. But that's my opinion on that, really, for me. But it's about a squad, Chris. Ultimately, It's about a squad. And those players are good enough to beat Dynamo. You know, the manager was off in jail, wasn't he? He's been sentenced in jail. So I mean, they had an interim manager. So we should have beaten him, Chris.
There are so many things, you know. There's been some comments in here. There's lots of comments coming in. So thank you very much to everyone who's commenting and giving comments here. About the guy in prison, and he's giving tactics from the prison cell. It's just laughable, isn't it? It's ridiculous. But this only seems to happen to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, which of course is why all of us are so frustrated. And what a week it has been. I felt very down this past week. And I know it's only football, and some people say, why do you take it so seriously? But at the end of the day, it's the way you are. It's your club. You love the club to death, and you just have that expectation of what they should deliver, and what they should give you on the pitch and trophies as well. No trophies in 13 years. I'm going to take a question now from Jason. So, Jason, thank you very much for this super chat. Guys, that performance showed the lack of actual professional footballers in our team. We only have 3 or 4 professionals who can do a job no matter what. Craig, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I will, actually, because it's very much along the lines of what I wanted to talk about tonight. What I will say, that I had a lot of banter sort of texts from friends. I'm sure you guys have had as well over the last few days. But one of them that did make me chuckle, and is probably quite apt, was that the Dynamo manager used his one phone call from prison to phone the dressing room and say, "Don't worry, lads, it's only Tottenham." And how true is that? It did make me chuckle, because wasn't that what Fergie used to say back in the day? Anyway, yeah, what Jason says here is absolutely spot on. For me, I've been thinking about this a lot over the last few days, and for me, it's like I said to you privately, Chris. I think it comes down to 4 things we could blame here, because everybody's got their own opinions, but for me, it's 4 things. Number 1. Would be the manager or managers. Let's take it back to 2008. Are the managers not good enough that Levy's appointed? For me, the answer to that is they are good enough. I don't think it's the manager's problem fully. You've got to look who we've had and what Redknapp achieved. I know we didn't win anything, but yeah, where he took us to. Pochettino is a shoo-in, obviously, and Mourinho by his record, even though he's chalk and cheese. For some people, is Mourinho. You can't deny the amount of trophies that he's won and the success he's had. So for me, it's not the manager. Number two, is it ingrained with all the players down the years that have passed on to generation of Tottenham players? Is it ingrained that we're not good enough? That mentality, has that been passed on through down the players? Because obviously there's not many people associated with the club 10, 15 years ago that are still there. So you can't blame that group of people, but is it ingrained in the club? You know, deep down in the club, is it there and been passed on? It's possible. It's possible. Number three, are the players not good enough? Which I'll come back to. And number four, is the board not giving the manager the right players, which kind of links to number three. Now, for me, I thought about this a lot, and for me, it's the board. And I know that might be an easy thing to say, and people have said it before, but when you look at it, this is just my opinion, but I always look at players now at Tottenham and think, would they get in the top 3 or 4 players in that position in a Premier League team? Are they top of their field? So if you go through it very quickly, Hugo Lloris, would you put him in the top 3 or 4 goalkeepers in the Premier League? I probably would, to be honest. On his day, I think he's worthy of that inclusion. And the way I do it like this is that Liverpool team from last year that won the league and the Champions League, I'd put most of them in the top 3 or 4 players in their first 11. In the top 3 or 4 players in that position in the Premier League. Okay, then you look at Aurier and Doherty. For me, neither of them get in the top 3 or 4 in the Premier League. Reguilon and Davies, would either of them? Davies wouldn't for me. Reguilon would. Then you come to the centre backs: Toby, Dyer, Sanchez, and discounting Tanganga and Joe Rodon. Would any of them get in the top 3 or 4 players in the Premier League if you was making a squad? For me, Alderweireld probably would, especially when we know what he's done. I know he's slowing up a bit and he can't do what he used to, but for me, you could argue a case for him. Central defensive midfield: Højbjerg, Winks, Sissoko. Who out of them would get in? For me, Højbjerg. None of the others. Left-hand side: Sonny, let's throw in Lo Celso and Lamela. Sonny definitely. Lamela not for me. Who was the other one I said? Can't remember. Lucas Moura. Possibly I'll keep him as a squad player. Go on the right, Gareth Bale. Bergwijn. I'd keep Bale for another season. Bergwijn, I don't think you could include him. Then you got the attacking midfield options. You've got Dele Alli and Ndombele. I'd probably keep both of them. But Ali's obviously been off the pace, but purely I'd keep Ali in there because we know what he can do. He's not like a one-season wonder. Then you've got Harry Kane and Vinicius. Vinicius, no, not for me, and obviously Harry Kane does get in. So I know I've rambled on there a bit, but how many of those players would get in that criteria that I've just said? 5 or 6? So for me, coupled with what Alex said about Sessegnon coming back for the left-back position, Oliver Skipp in the middle. You know my feelings on Dane Scarlett. I think he's got a bright future. I think I'd sling him in next year. And of course, Jack Clark, which not many people have mentioned. I know he's not really had a run and people aren't sure. I think there's a player in there that could challenge for the right-hand side. So for me, it's the investment. The players just aren't good enough. As we've said before, the last world-class signing we made was Jurgen Klinsmann in '94, which is unbelievable when you think about it like that. So for me, for us to be anywhere near challenging, we need 2 quality centre-backs. We need 2 quality right-backs, and we need an central attacking midfield, possibly a striker. Now, how you get that money for that? For me, you at least need 200 million, which Joe Lewis is not going to put his hand in his pocket for that. But with player sales, you might be lucky to get 80 million, I'm guessing, for the players that we all think might not be good enough for this squad. So you sell them for 80 million, and then I'm sorry, but Enoch and Joe Lewis have got to put their hands in their pockets about 120, 130 million quid, and we might actually get a squad worthy of challenging for the Premier League. So I know that's a really long answer, but that is my opinion on what needs to happen to this club to move us forward. And it basically comes down to money, which is very sad, but that's football. We need 5 or 6 world-class, quality, established signings.
Can I just come back to that, Keris? Can I just come back to that? Well, I understand why people are saying they want a world-class centre-back. They want a world-class centre midfield. But let me just look back at Poch, and then I'll go back to Leicester, because people completely forget about Leicester at the moment, right? Because Leicester are doing very well, and I don't look at their team and see world-class players coming up. You know, they've actually been evolved. So when you're saying a world-class centre-back, you're not going to get a world-class centre-back because we don't do that. And Poch didn't do that, you know? Well, I mean, the centre-backs we had that were the 2 centre-backs that were successful were Alderweireld and Vertonghen. Vertonghen was underachieving with other managers, okay? And then Alderweireld, we were lucky to even get him because Southampton were after him, and they were literally there, and we literally just sneaked in and got him. And then those 2 worked well. But Vertonghen, he was looking very good, yes. But let's just be honest here. He wasn't getting on with some of the players that were played with him. He wasn't playing well at all. And then Alderweireld came up. It's like match men in heaven. Then you had the 2 wing backs. Now, Walker and Rose, yes, they were very good. They were good, but they were still underachieving. Still underachieving. Okay. Same with Dembele, who, let's be honest here, we haven't replaced. We are hoping that Dembele becomes that player, but he might be a much more different player. But he has the qualities and the attributes to do that. You see what I'm saying? But these are all players I'm mentioning at the moment that had to evolve. You had the potential there, but because of the coaching of Pochettino and his philosophy, he evolved those players. And that's what I'm talking about. You're not going to get a world-class centre-back with Daniel Levy. You're not going to get a world-class centre midfield with Daniel Levy. The board are not going to do that.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Alex. That's what needs to happen, in my opinion, because we've tried that way before. And I agree. Give you Rose and Walker, we've never replaced them, and they weren't world class essentially. And you wouldn't think that when Danny Rose was coming through. And I knew Cole Walker was a great player, and we all knew Moussa Dembele was a great player. But when you look at the facts that we've had this thing where we're trying to buy or bring talent through, which is a great way to be. Don't get me wrong. That he's going to grow into this world-class talent. It's proved time and time again. We've just failed, haven't we? That was down to Daniel Levy not listening to Pochettino, and that's the thing. That's where we're getting it completely wrong. That's our club at the moment. That's the way we work, and unfortunately, that is the reality. Okay, and I don't think Tottenham fans actually realise it. Okay, we are fundamentally now a club like Leicester, who's what we should be doing. The wrong thing was, the mistake was we had a system in place with Paul Mitchell, who was buying the players, who was doing the diligence of the players, looking at their backgrounds, looking at what they're all about, and then looking if they fitted in with the squad. And then you have Pochettino, who was there, who used his methods to train them up. And he had the right methods and the right outlook to get the best out of those players over the next few years. And it's about looking at the future. And that's where it was growing with Tottenham. The mistake is that things changed because no one really listened to him, because he had the vision of thinking, okay, these players have now stopped interesting now. So Vertonghen, Alderweireld, Eriksen, their heads are gone. They don't want to be here anymore. Okay, we need to let them go. Okay, and we need to move things forward. We need to look at players who are going to replace them and take over their spots. That's what Man United have done over the years when Alex Ferguson was in charge. And it's, this is what we should have done. The mistake was getting Mourinho in the first place. And now we've got into a situation now where, we need to get a good centre back. We need to get a world-class centre midfielder. Tottenham are not going to do that. We're not going to do that. And I just that's what I'm saying, Alex. That's what I'm saying, Alex. So perhaps that needs to change, because like you say, we've never replaced Vertonghen. We've never replaced Walker. We've never replaced properly Danny Rose, even though you could argue we got Reguilon, but he's not our player, he's unknown. Let's face it, Doherty's not good enough. You know,
can I just say, Craig, can I just say that I think that, and welcome to the show, David, by the way, and I'll come to you in a second. Craig, let me just say that what worries me every single time that Spurs lose a game or we go on a dismal run, which we have, you know, a few times this season, is that all of us constantly say, oh, it's okay, in the summer we'll sign X, Y, and Z, expecting all of these world-class players to come in. And as Alex said, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think we're going to be signing world-class players because, as you just said, the last world-class player that a lot of us would consider world-class, Jurgen Klinsmann back in 1994. That's a very, very long time. But yes, you know, Pochettino didn't get any money to spend in 518 days. Clearly, you know, not good enough and not backed in that way, you know, to go forward, particularly taking us to the Champions League final as well. Yes, I know we spent money, but we should have spent a lot more and we should have backed him, you know, fully, in my opinion. David, let's come to you, and thanks so much for coming on. We're just trying to sum up how we feel this past week. I know I spoke to you straight after the game on Thursday. You know, neither of us, you know, we're normally full of it, you and I. But we didn't say very much on Thursday, did we?
No, look, let's be honest, the two of us were heartbroken. You know, in all honesty, I don't think the two of us really wanted to be there, did we, Chris? We just wanted to probably drive ourselves.
Can I just interrupt? Sorry, I thought it was a great show Thursday. I watched all of it, all 2 hours of it. And I thought you two were fantastic. And Dave, I absolutely, like you, Chris, I love your passion. And I was feeling it. I watched the 2 hours, and it was so good to watch because it was like a counselling session. It was great to know that there was others out there that felt just the same as me. I'll let you carry on, Dave, but I just wanted to say that it was brilliant, really good show.
Thank you, Craig.
Yeah, thank you so much, Craig. No, look, where I stand on the whole thing, I actually done a stream yesterday. I don't know if anyone here has watched it, but I took myself out of the immediate situation about Jose and everything else, and what I done is I look back over everything from like the year where Pochettino got sacked, from that November to the Champions League final to when Pochettino eventually got sacked in November, and I've analysed a few things, and what I just want to say quickly, I do urge everyone to check it out because it's out of the immediate what's going on, and it puts everything into context, especially about some of them players that let's be honest, started that game against Zagreb, and just things that have happened with this certain type of players that played against Zagreb, and why it was no surprise that it's happened. But yeah, I just want to urge everyone to get over and check it out, of course, after this stream is finished.
Yeah, get your plug in, David. It is called the Irish Hotspur, so go over there, subscribe to David's channel. Excellent channel. Alex, there's a question for you here on screen from Will Stewart. Do you not realise that both Davies and Winks have never held down starting positions even under Pochettino? Are you okay with settling for average lads?
Well, that's just a lazy opinion as far as I'm concerned, right? You know, I'm sorry, but Davies was actually a very, very good player a couple of seasons ago. He was doing better than Rose, I've got to be honest. And Winks has just fell because I don't think he's feeling confident under Jose. I don't think he's the sort of manager that he's flourished under him. He did really well under Poch because Poch knew how to get the best out of him. He knew how to evolve him. He knew how to get the best out of him. So I'm sorry, I don't really agree. I know David doesn't agree, and this is why we're gonna have some laughs here. We're gonna have some fireworks today, right?
I actually want to kick this off because I actually do have something to say on that, Alex. With Davies and Winks, right? So from the November when our league form turned on the Champions League run, till the November when Pochettino got sacked, right? Ben Davies played a lot of the games, especially in the second. In the next season, up to when Pochettino got sacked. Harry Winks only came into the starting 11 once Wanyama's and Dembele's knees were busted and were finished and they couldn't get in. That's the only time Pochettino ever really worked at Winks. Apart from that, he was exactly what he's been doing under Mourinho, a fill-in squad player. And when you add from that November to the November that Pochettino got sacked, if you accumulate all them points as one season, we would have got relegated. So when these players do come in and we rely on them, it is a telling factor that how bad our team can be when we have to rely on these sort of players. And you've seen the reflection of that Thursday night.
Well, a squad, a team is about partnerships. Where are the partnerships in our team, David? That's the point I'm making. Sissoko and Winks, were a good partnership that year that we were in the Champions League final. I know we didn't have a good run, but we know why. We know why certain things were not happening. It wasn't a good run, but they were the mainstay in the midfield. I do admit there was Ericsson in that number 10 role, so it kind of helped it a little bit. But they are still very good players, and I'm sorry, but I think it's just picked out because it's either it's a Jose ins, and that's it. And I'm not going to have a go at you, Dave, because I do respect you a lot, and we do. We're gonna argue, but we still love Tottenham. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the point I'm making is that it's not just. I mean, they didn't play well. They didn't play well on Thursday. And you just have to watch Lloris. You just need to watch Lloris. That interview that was quite open, and for me. I think he's going to get in trouble for that because I know Tottenham. I know the press officer doesn't like. He's a very cutthroat guy. You can see, what he's like. So I know that he's not going to be happy about what he saw with Lloris. So that might progress over the next couple of weeks. But I still feel there's still a lot to give for Winks. I would say definitely. I do agree. I do agree with you about Sissoko, though. I do agree about Sissoko. Sissoko shouldn't be, he should be moved on. I do agree with you because, there's other players that could do a better job. But
just on Winks and Sissoko, you were saying that they're a good partnership. But when you actually look at it, as soon as they came into midfield and replaced the partnership with Wanyama and Dembele, it fell apart, and Pochettino ended up costing his job. If we didn't make that Champions League final and we just took the season on our league form alone and how far it capitulated, once we started relying on Winks and Sissoko as a centre midfield partnership, and you take the Champions League, which we had a lot of luck along the way in that run, if you take that out of it, the evidence is there. They were not a good partnership. They ended up costing Pochettino his job. And when they played last night, Thursday night, we couldn't get a grip of the game. So the evidence is there that they're not a good partnership.
Craig, I want to come to you now. Alex mentioned Hugo Lloris's comments there. Hugo Lloris made comments. Jose Mourinho's made comments. Toby's come out and made comments on the club's website today. Harry Kane on Instagram today. Harry Kane said, "Time to bounce back after a very disappointing week. No words will atone for the last two games. We have to just show our response on the pitch." Now, Hugo Lloris, is important to look in the mirror. In football first, if you don't show respect to the badge, you are in trouble. It hurts and it's painful. And Jose Mourinho, lots of comments from him, including last weekend that really worried me about Jose saying about the players went missing. Who do you think those players are? And Jason makes a similar point here. We just need the players to steady things down and put a shift in, no matter whether they are unhappy. But what worries me, Craig, at the moment, as a Spurs fan, Jose doesn't seem happy. He's come out and said he's not happy. The players aren't happy. You could see Hugo Lloris. I know players are unhappy, when they've lost games like Dynamo Zagreb on, 3-0 on Thursday. But it looked more than that. It looked a whole lot more than him just being unhappy about us losing a game.
Yeah, it did. Although I have to say that Joe Hart's post was probably the best one out of the lot that he had to retort on. That's the most Spurs thing ever as well, isn't it? Jesus Christ! I mean, what are his social media team doing? Anyway, I don't know, mate. I don't know what I don't know. There is an issue there. I mean, it's just the last two games. There's especially the one against Dynamo. There's not one player that I would say had a good game, which is really worrying. Usually in a bad game, you can pick out one player. You can say, "Oh yeah, Lucas had a good game," or "Harry played well." Last two games, Harry Kane's looked so off it. And you could argue that he hasn't been getting the ball. But I don't know. That's the most concerning thing for me. I've always said that you can only go so far to blame the manager. I mean, Jose looked after the game. He's not going to come on all full of smiles and everything, but he did for the first time in any of his managerial interviews, not just with Tottenham, whoever. He almost had the look of a man that internally is thinking, what else can I do with this bunch of players? What else can I do? He looked a bit lost, if I'm honest with you. Apart from disappointed, he just looked lost.
Do you know what though, Craig? His comments were I think that performance was unacceptable, and then apologising to the Tottenham fans by saying, on behalf of my team, I can only apologise to the Tottenham supporters. He had to do that, didn't he?
Of course he did. Yeah, of course he did. Because, like I say, he's not going to come on and there was nothing positive to come out of that game at all. I would say there were players that played better than others, but on the whole, they were all pretty poor. They were all pretty poor, and it is a worry, to be honest with you, because we should have coasted that game. We should have just seen it out. And to be honest, at half time, I wasn't that concerned. I really wasn't that concerned. Still thought we was going to go through, and even into extra time, I thought we were going to go through. And you know, Bale had a good chance, and I thought if he'd put that away, that'd have been it. And it's all fine margins, but we should never have even been in that position in the first place. And it's worrying that the players, and I've said this before, it's worrying that the players can't get themselves up for games. The North London derby, if you can't get yourself up for that, then get out of the club, quite frankly. And, you know, you've got a chance of being in the quarter-final of the Europa League. We would have been against Villarreal, which I think is a pretty, not an easy tie, but I think we had a bloody good chance of getting past Villarreal. And you knew you had that as a possibility.
So, Craig, to make it clear, do you think it is the players' ability, or do you think that it's not them being up for games for a particular reason?
I think I think it's probably 50-50 in that I think some of the players aren't good enough, and I think some of the players on that pitch Thursday just proved why they shouldn't be anywhere near the first team in important games, because it was an important game, even though we're 2-0 up. It's still an important game. But it's the mentality of the whole squad, and if it is spread like a virus through the squad, this negativity, then somebody's not doing their job properly and trying to motivate them from the coaching staff. You could blame Jose for that, I suppose. But as I said before, the players have got to get themselves up. You know, you paid £100,000 a week, and I know money shouldn't come into it. And you say, yeah, they're human beings like everybody else. You know, you've got a responsibility. You've got a responsibility as a professional footballer to get out and do your job properly. You know, hundreds and thousands of people around the world are supporting you, are relying on you, and that's why you get paid the big bucks. And if you're not performing, I'm sorry, but you've got to take that on your shoulders. Like some of the players have come out and said, you know, you're a professional footballer, you work a few hours a day, you can go and play golf in the afternoon. All we're asking for is 90 minutes at a weekend and occasionally during the week. Give 100% and play like it's the last game you'll ever play. Every time you wear that badge, every time you wear that shirt, like all of us would have loved the opportunity and been good enough at football to do it for Tottenham Hotspur. That's all the supporters would ask. If you go out to a better team, having given your heart, given 100% every single game, I can forgive that.
Yeah.
But the last two games, they haven't. And I'm getting far too wound up about talking about that, so I'll let somebody else talk about it. But that's the way I feel. It's a frustration, Chris. It's frustration.
I completely agree. The results are bad enough, but the performances and just the lack of passion and desire, you know, we've all felt it. We've all felt it this week, which has been absolutely awful. Alex, we'll come back to you because you've sparked a lot of interest here with your comments about Harry Winks. Will, thank you very much for your super chat comment here. Alex, I like your comments a lot, but Winks had his longest run of starts in the 2019-2020 season under Jose. Winks only started 17 matches in the 2018-2019 season.
Like I said, I don't agree with the whole thing with Winks. I do agree that he's going to struggle maybe next year with Skip coming back. But again, Skip is he's not going to be plain sailing for Skip, and I think we've got to all support him. I think really for me, on Winks, I think he's still a good player. You know, I mean, his game against Real Madrid, that was a couple of years ago. He looked really, really good. And that was under Poch when he was confident, and it's about confidence as well. So you know, again, it's a different game at the moment. I'm sorry, but you know, I'm sorry, but when you look at the Leicester team, and I'll keep on bringing up Leicester because look at where the position is at the moment, and look at their manager, look at the players, and look at how they've developed them. You know, when you look at Morrison and Barnes, were they players that you think, oh, they're going to be really good? No. But they've progressed because of a manager, you know, and the way that he trains the players, he drills the players. So I'm sorry, I just don't agree with it, and I just don't think it's. I'm not going to agree with it at all. I think it's a completely different outlook now than just getting a world-class player in, at his prime anymore. That's why we let go of Harry Redknapp. So, but on this thing about Jose Mourinho, I just need to say this. I did like his interview, his post-match interview. He just didn't take any responsibility whatsoever. What he said is, he says, I did this with the players. I did this with the players. I gave them videos. I gave them this. And it was just like, well, I've done my job. They didn't do their job. Well, sorry, mate. Yeah. You're the manager. You should have taken, it's your responsibility. Take your responsibility. Yes, great. You apologise for the players. But say, I'm sorry, but it's my responsibility that they didn't play well on Thursday. Because you're the one that sent them out. You're the one that picked them. So I'm sorry, that's wrong. And
Alex,
that's why
that is true. But Hugo Lloris also said about the players as well. Brandon.
Well, that's a culture that he's got. That's, sorry to interrupt you, Chris, but that's a culture that Mourinho's brought into the club, and that's why I don't agree.
Over the course of most of Mourinho's post games when we've lost, he's actually took the blame. It's only against Zagreb where he's come out.
Taken the blame.
He hasn't taken the blame. Questioning saying, why is he saying this? Why is he saying that? When clearly things weren't good enough. After Zagreb, he had enough, and he told people what was going on, and it's just trying to be twisted.
David,
he hasn't taken the blame, David. Come on.
Alex, if you can just answer Brandon's point, it's aimed at you again. Alex, answer every 2 questions is Jose Mourinho's fault. Now, just the first part of that point in question, if I was to ask you now, do you want Jose Mourinho as your manager?
No, but I'll say no. But the only reason why I don't say Jose out is that I'm very uncomfortable with his release clause at the moment, that 35 million. I just don't feel comfortable with it at all. So that's where I feel very uncomfortable with it at the moment. This release clause of allegedly 35 million that we have to pay him off, and that's it. So that's the only reason why I'm not saying no. And I don't know who's going to take over the team, because it's a big risk to go for a manager at the moment, and I just don't know at the moment. So I mean, I know that there's a popularity of Nagelsmann, and yeah, it's go for it. But I don't know. I don't know really.
Alex, the second part of this point is about you being like a broken record about Jose Mourinho. These are great players who won what? Lloris is talking about the players, not Jose Mourinho, because like I said, Jose Mourinho. You said it. He come out and said, I've done this. I told the players this, told the players that. But Hugo Lloris come out and blame the players as well, and said that some of those players, should be ashamed, in the dressing room. Sorry, the last point of this question and point here from Brandon: Sissoko is more effective than Harry Winks and Davies.
I just want to address that super chat. Thank you for your super chat, but it's quite obvious that you're a Jose fan. So I like to say this: it's Tottenham FC. It's a Tottenham FC. It's not Mourinho FC. So I'm sorry. It's like,
to be fair, I think people that are looking at Mourinho in, it's not that they're Mourinho FC. I think they're looking out for the best interest of Tottenham FC, like you stated earlier on, whether you're Mourinho in or Mourinho out. You're looking out for Mourinho's or Tottenham's best interest, and you stated that earlier on.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. But what I'm saying is that he's got his faults, and he's just not the right man for the job. Now, at the end of the day, getting rid of Jose is not going to, solve our problems here. There are bigger problems here. So I'm not saying that there's not bigger problems at all. The fact that we haven't got a director of football, that's a problem. You see, I'm sorry that, because who's directing getting the players? We were told at the beginning of the summer, which I didn't believe, that this was our best squad. This was the best summer. Everyone was waxing lyrical about it. The only thing that we should have got is a centre-back and get Skriniar, which I do agree that we should have got a good centre-back who can play on the left. Because for me, which I'm amazed that people keep on thinking that Alderweireld and Sanchez are our best partnership. Two right footers playing together are our best partnership. Does that make sense? No.
They are at the moment. They are at the moment.
But they're not. They're not. They're just not.
Alex?
They are.
Alex,
they really are.
Can I just ask Alex a question? So you're putting around Nagelsmann as a potential replacement, okay? And you're saying Nagelsmann because his style and his philosophy. Am I correct?
It's about how you motivate the players. It's about how you motivate.
Okay, so that's fine. So if Pochettino didn't adapt his style and was using some of these players that Mourinho are using now, okay, and ultimately it ended up costing him the sack because he wouldn't change his style, what makes you think a manager that only plays one way and doesn't change his system is going to come in and solve this? So you're not thinking about it the other way.
No, I'm not looking at just Nagelsmann. I'm looking at someone like Poch, like Nagelsmann or Rodgers or something like that. Rodgers, I don't think it's ever going to happen because he's never going to leave Leicester. But I'm just looking at those sort of managers because they know how to, integrate the squad, understand how to use the squad. When they get a player, because what Tottenham do, they buy players from whoever, the board or, the people that are in charge of recruitment. They get players that the manager wants in terms of knowing, the caliber of player or the profile player, okay? And they'll say, okay, this is the player that we've got for you. You go and coach them. And that's what they'll do, just coach them. We need a coach. Mourinho is not a coach, okay? And I'm sorry because he's made statements like saying, was it 99% it's all about the player improving, and it's just 1% the coach. That is not a coach. You see,
if you're talking about giving Nagelsmann money, why wouldn't you just give Mourinho money if Nagelsmann still has to rotate the squad? Why wouldn't you just do it with Jose Mourinho? Because if you do it with Jose Mourinho compared to Nagelsmann, there's more higher chance of success with rotating this squad with Mourinho than there is with Nagelsmann. No, surely
he's proven that he's not good. He's proven it already, though, David. Because the thing is, though, his fault this season fell off. Okay, I mean, the beginning of the season, we know why we were doing really well. Son and Kane. It was quite obvious. Quite obvious. Who was scoring more of the goals? Son and Kane. If Son wasn't playing, Kane wasn't playing. Oh, what was going to happen? Oh, when Kane wasn't playing and Son wasn't playing, what did we do? Did nothing. So that's the point. And we had Vinicius on the bench as well. That was his signing, by the way. His signing.
No, it wasn't.
It was his signing.
I didn't want him.
He was his signing. I'm telling you, it was his signing.
I highly encourage you to go and listen to a podcast that Troy Deeney actually done there a couple of months back. He was actually supposed to come into Tottenham, and it was Mourinho that contacted him, and he said he wanted to come to Tottenham. It was supposed to happen, but then out of left field, Vinicius came in. So I'd argue that
Vinicius is his signing. Vinicius was his signing. I'm sorry,
Alex,
that was common knowledge.
Alex, Brandon has put another super chat on screen, so thank you, Brandon. Particularly for you, Alex. A game a few years ago, Leicester progressed because of attitude of players aligned with manager. He said, "My team" in the interview. My team because it is us.
What does he mean by that? I don't understand what he's talking about.
Because you were saying that he's Mourinho FC, but he's saying that it's not. It's like it's all of us together.
Yeah, I understand. It is his team. It's our team. Yes, it is. But what I'm trying to say is that unfortunately, the profile manager at the moment with Mourinho, you can see that he's not getting on with some of the players. And the January transfer window was an absolute joke because the way that he was treating some of the players, like I'm not saying Bell was not, because I've got my thoughts on Bell. I think that Bell shouldn't have came in the first place because I thought it was desperate. But the point is that the way he treated Bell, the way he treated Ali, and it was just all a circus all through that January transfer window. And really, for me, what he should have done, like he did with Winks, he said, "This is my squad. That's it. I'm not letting go of anybody, and that's it." And it would have stopped all the rumours, stopped all the mayhem, and stopped all the infighting. Unfortunately, he didn't do that, and that's why we didn't do very well at all, in my opinion. And I think, unfortunately, he has to have the blame. Now, I mean, I don't want to sack a manager because, I don't think it's fair to say sack a manager because I don't think that's the right way of having terms, because I don't want to get rid of somebody losing their job. I don't think it's really fair at all. But I just don't feel it's working, and that's the thing. So, and I just don't see how you can move forward.
I did ask you, do you want him as your manager? And you said no.
No, I don't. But the point is that I'm not trying to be up and down here. But the thing is, though, if I could see a way forward with Jose Mourinho, I would say, yeah, carry on. But because I don't want to mess around with different managers. But I just think it's the wrong decision from the beginning. It was the wrong decision from the beginning for me.
Can I just say something on that?
Yeah, go for it, David.
So when Pochettino first came in, he had a bad period of results, and you can argue that he was saved by Harry Kane. And then that summer, he was allowed to clear out, I think, 12, 13, 14 players and stamp his authority on the squad. Then it became his squad. Now, until you let Mourinho do that, it's never going to become his squad. Now, you look at the players he has to work with that are in and around this first team now. Were never in and around Poch's first team when Poch's prime football was played. But when he had to start relying on them, he got the sack. Now, you can't... I understand you can criticise Mourinho and everyone has the problems with him. I fully understand that. But if you're going to be fair and you're going to keep talking about the way Poch played this, Poch played that, talk about everything. Talk about the fact that he was allowed to clear out a squad to bring in his own players. Talk about to be able to play his football. Talk about when he had to rely on the players that Mourinho, that is in our first 11 now, in and out of our first 11, were never once near Pochettino's squad in realistic terms. So until the squad is rotated, whatever manager comes in here, the same results are going to keep happening. Now, when we talk about bringing in Nagelsmann, Rodgers, like I already explained, Pochettino wouldn't change his system and his philosophy, cost him his job. Nagelsmann and Rodgers, they won't either. And if they have to work with these players without the investment, it's going to cost them as well. So the key thing is, until the core of this squad is rotated, the same thing is going to keep happening. Now, I argue that with Mourinho's experience, the fact that he keeps changing up formations and everything else, is he actually getting the very best out of this squad right now with the players that we have to rely on that Pochettino didn't have to, and when he did, it cost him his job.
David, I just don't agree with that.
Alex, we will come back to you, David. Just to be very clear, you're very much Jose in. You want Jose to succeed at the club, don't you?
Look, first of all, let me be clear. I'm Tottenham Hotspur. I'm 100% Tottenham Hotspur, regardless of the manager. If Mourinho got sacked tomorrow and Nagelsmann came in, you're going to see me have the same support for Nagelsmann. Yeah. 100%. But look, this whole thing is, look, me personally, I actually think Mourinho is going to be given the summer and a chance next season, because if you're Tottenham and you're looking at it in trophy sort of sense, but there's actually a lot more around this as well. So I have to have a couple of minutes to just kind of get this across.
Sorry, David, if you don't mind, let's get through a few of these questions. Yeah. Now, there's a question on screen now. Thank you very much for your super chat. Jose Mourinho is failing at his job and, in my opinion, underachieving with this squad that we have. He's a dated manager and living off of his CV. What is our style of play? Non-existent. Bring Nagelsmann in. Now, we know after Thursday night, Jose out was trending on Twitter again. Lots of people, I try to be positive on my social media, and instantly, even after every video that I've posted this week, particularly after the Arsenal game and the Dynamo Zagreb game, some of the first comments are, has Jose gone now? When's the club statement coming out? I don't want Jose as the manager anymore. Full of all these comments this week, David. What's your reply to those people?
No, look, my reply is get over and check out the video I done last night, Chris. Honestly, it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. Honestly, it's the most successful one I've done. It's been very well received across the Spurs fan base. Honestly, I honestly, especially you, Alex, I urge you to check it out. It might be a little bit of an eye-opener for you. But one thing I do want to say for Alex, in fairness, even when we were winning and we were top of the league, he still had the same enthusiasm for Mourinho out, and he's always maintained it. So I have to give him that credit first, and I admire it, to be fair. You know what I mean? But my thing to that is this Mourinho out. You have to go back and look at when Toby Alderweireld signed his new contract. He stayed because of Mourinho. Yeah. Harry Kane was making noises with that interview with Jamie Redknapp. If things aren't done and going the right way, I'm out. All of a sudden, Mourinho comes in. First thing he does is pull Harry Kane into the office. Stay and work with me. Kane has stayed because of it. Now, if we do sack Mourinho, if you're Hugo Lloris, Toby Alderweireld's son, and Kane, it's not just like one player; it's all four. And you bring in Nagelsmann, and it's another 5-year project. If you're all four of them, Hugo Lloris can go to PSG, retire with a French league, French cup, and make a good start in the Champions League. Harry Kane can go to any club, top club around the world that's consistently winning their league and go and win trophies to see out the end of his career. Son can as well, and Toby Alderweireld can as well. They have the qualities to do it, and they deserve it by now. So if Mourinho goes, are they all going to stick around for the project as well? I really don't think so. So you could argue that maybe a lot of these players are staying because they believe in Mourinho and that they do think he eventually will bring them success. Like if you're sacking Mourinho and you're bringing in another manager, you're starting a whole another new process. That's 2 years, another 2 years thereafter they're wasting at the club with nothing, no return. The board still is showing them no direction. So they're all going to bounce out as well. So you're not just sacking Mourinho. In effect, you're getting rid of 4 of your best players.
David, we will be coming on to the Aston Villa preview shortly after we've discussed Jose Mourinho and these other super chats that have come in. But if Jose Mourinho and Spurs lost the game on Sunday evening against Aston Villa, do the board then make a decision or not?
No, I don't think so. Look, it's an important game. It's a must win. But look, we could lose that and still. My theory on this is look, no matter whether we win or not, we're still going to go on a little run. But when it comes to time to get that game where top 4 is in our control, I think we're going to lose it. We've seen the same last season. When we got knocked out of the Champions League last 16, we went on a run. But any time the chance presented itself, it bottled it. And I think you're going to see the same again. But I don't think, look, the fans, everyone's going to put on the pressure. But we all seen how starstruck and how much Levy was asking Mourinho to do, try and get Eriksen to sign a new contract. I think their bond and what they have planned, they're not going to come out and put it out in the press and in the paper all over the place. But I do think it's a lot tighter and a lot stronger than a few noises in the press of Mourinho out.
David, super chat here for you. You can't judge Jose Mourinho until he's been backed. I find it all this, it's Jose's fault. It's very short-sighted. Now, it's funny, isn't it? Because the fans' opinion is very mixed on our manager right now. Look,
first of all, every fan's opinion is valid. Let's take that into consideration. But at the end of the day, we all like to think we're football people. We're fans. There's people at the club that make the football decisions. And at the end of the day, they're going to do what's best for Tottenham financially and in terms of football context. Us fans, we can all have our say. But, you know, to be honest with you, I'm glad that some of us are not on that board.
Well, you talk about the board. Wayne Bonner writes here, the bigger problem is the board and Enoch. If Jose Mourinho is still our manager in the summer, will he be backed? Will he be given, you know, vast amounts of money to make Tottenham a real force? Because that's another question, another debate. You know, what do Tottenham want? What has Jose Mourinho been brought in for? To finish top 4 like Pochettino? To challenge for the Premier League? To just get us a trophy and put it in the cabinet and get us over that line?
Look, Chris, what I'm going to say to you is this whole thing that Jose Mourinho needs millions and he needs the very best, not entirely true. McTominay at United, he still starts over Pogba now. Matic at Chelsea, he wasn't massive. Do you know what I mean? When they unearthed him, there's a lot of players at clubs that he's been at. He doesn't exactly need the vast amount of millions that everyone thinks he does. He just needs the players that he identifies to come in, to be brought in. That's what he needs. Look, you know, Alex, please just check out my stream for last night. It's amazing. I beg you, please. It's going to open your eyes.
It's just not going to happen, David. Like, no, your stream. No, I'll be watching your stream. You know, I've got respect for you, your channel. I love your channel, mate. But yeah, I just don't think it's going to happen. He's not going to get the backing. He was backed in January. He was backed in the summer. He got the players. He was happy with his summer. He said it on record. He was happy. So I'm sorry. And like, we need a complete rebuild. So if Kane goes, well, Kane's going to go anyway because, you know, a Carabao Cup is not going to let him stay. He's not going to be inspired to stay. You know, if you want to get inspiration, if you wanted inspiration, right, the Champions League final, when we got to the Champions League final, whether we won or lost, that was an inspiration in terms of going to next season, trying to do better. Okay, Liverpool got to the Champions League final one season and lost it against Real Madrid. They beat us the next season because they inspired them. And yes, I do agree. They should have. They got an investment. They sold Coutinho. and you know, use the investment to get new players in. Yes, but we didn't do that. You know, we were messing around with the Fernandes deal. You know, and you know, then we sacked Pochettino, have to pay him off in instalments when we could have paid off for Fernandes. Or, you know, listen to Mourinho, listen to Pochettino, and get rid of Vertonghen and Eriksen and Alderweireld. I mean, Alderweireld for me, he's declined. He has declined.
Yes.
It's quite obvious he has declined. He's up. I would say describe him as our best defender by default. I mean, you know, if you look at it like this, everyone has a guy Dyer, but it's more balanced. With Dyer in defence with Alderweireld, with Dyer in defence with Sanchez, because there's one right-footed, one left-footed. The failure is not getting defender, you know, who's left-footed. That was the failure, you see. So it's just you know, at the end of the day, he's not the only problem.
Mourinho on the board, though.
He's not the only problem here. He's not the only problem here, but he doesn't know how to treat the players. Okay, there's a way of managing players. Klopp understands it. Guardiola understands it. Rodgers understands it. We can look at the Brighton manager. Yeah, but you can look at the Brighton. You can look at the Brighton manager as well. You can look at the Southampton manager. They understand how to manage players, understand how to get the best out of them, how to nurture their egos, how to get them working hard for you. And that's what it's all about now. It's not about how he doesn't understand how to do it anymore, you know. And the thing is with Jose is, I'm going to say what Terry says on the Football Terrace that I'm doing those streams for. Great channel, by the way. But you know, he says if you get Jose in, you've got to do what Jose wants. If you don't do what Jose wants, okay, you don't have a happy Jose. If you do what Jose wants, he's a happy Jose, and a happy Jose is a dangerous Jose. And he's kept on saying it, Terry, and he's spot on with he's spot on about Jose, okay, because he's a Man United fan and he understands that, and he's spot on, absolutely spot on with it. And unfortunately, it's not going to work at Tottenham, and that's it. And I'm hoping that it will be wrong, but unfortunately, it doesn't look like it. So we have to get another manager like Poch. And now don't blame Jose the fact that he's taken the job, because the person who's ultimately to blame for that is Daniel Levy. So the thing is, though, the person to blame for it, and this is common knowledge now, he's always wanted Jose Mourinho. So it's his fault, and he knew that it's not right. So I can't just blame Jose for this. This is Daniel Levy's fault on this one, unfortunately, and he needs to take accountability for it.
Let's bring in Craig now. Craig, super chat comment on screen now. Jose doesn't need high quality players. He needs the kind of players like Pierre-Emile Højbjerg who can give everything on the pitch. Jose doesn't have that. Now, you know, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg has been a fantastic signing since his summer move from Southampton. You know, we could certainly do with a few more like him on the pitch, couldn't we?
Yeah, certainly could, and you know that's a valid point, and really takes it back to what I was saying earlier about, you know, walking off the pitch, make sure you don't leave anything on it. You know, give 100% every time you go on, and that's all the supporters would ask for. But it still comes down to me. We've got, if you want good players, you got to spend the big money, and we've said it before. Liverpool needed a centre back. They made that area their priority. They knew this where they had to strengthen. They went and got Van Dijk. They knew they wanted a decent keeper after was it Karius they had, so they went and got Alisson. And everybody thought they were mad spending that much money on a goalkeeper, but they went and did it.
Yeah.
And it's the sad reality of football, and it's so simple. If you want success, it's almost like you are buying it. But look at Manchester City. Look at Manchester City and their squad. You know, Cole Walker, I was very, very disappointed when Cole Walker went, because I love watching him play. I love watching pace. You can't mark pace. You know, when him and Rose bombing down the wings, it was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. We never replaced him. I was gutted when he went. And that was kind of the start of the downfall, you could argue, because when he left, a few other players, you know, there was rumblings of discontent here and there. And when he went, I think that's really when it started to fall apart, discounting the Champions League run. Because as Dave said, I think we'll all agree, he was very lucky getting to that final. I still don't know to this day how he got to the final. And I've been back and watched the goals and all the decisions, and even the Llorente goal would not have been given now, would it? Because it clearly hit him on the arm. And even at the time, I thought, how have they given that? You know, I'll take it, but how the hell have they given that? So, yeah, for me, it just comes down to good investment on, like I said previously in the chat. We've got to heavily invest in the players now, but you also do need the players. You're 100% right, like a Højbjerg that will die on the pitch for you. And, you know, it proved it Thursday. Winks and Sissoko, you know, Højbjerg could have probably done what both of them did in that game. He's just got that mentality, and he drives people forward. He'll bollock people if they're not doing their job.
Yeah.
Didn't see any of that. And players like him are, you know, they're gold dust. Absolutely.
Craig, let's stay with you. MS writes on screen now, can Jose Mourinho survive an Aston Villa loss? It was a question that I asked earlier. And if we got fourth in the Premier League and the Carabao Cup, is Jose in or Jose out? How would you feel if we won the Carabao Cup and finished fourth?
Oh, I'd be ecstatic, to be honest, at this moment. Christ, I mean, even if you finish fourth and no Carabao Cup win, I think that would be a great achievement when you look at the way we've been playing. Just winning the Carabao Cup on its own, yeah, it's a cup, and that's what we've been, you know, we've wanted a trophy for so long. But for me, you win the Carabao Cup and finish seventh, it's not really been a massively successful season. Finish seventh without any trophy is appalling. So going back to the Villa question, for me, I don't think if they are thinking about getting rid of Jose Mourinho, you surely can't do it before the cup final. I'm not sure. Who would you bring in? I mean, for me, I've said before again, I'd bring in someone like Harry Redknapp till the end of the season, just to give that somebody like that, a character like that, who you know is a good people person who could motivate the players. It's pointless trying to bring in a Nagelsmann or anything. I mean, the clubs ain't going to let him go mid-season anyway. You need an interim manager, and Harry Redknapp's out there. He's free. And, you know, whether Daniel Levy will get him in, I don't know. But, you know, if he gets rid of Jose, what type of manager does he go for? Like we said before, does he go for Poch? Poch, I mean, Jesus Perez came out and said, we will be back at Tottenham one day. Is it going to be sooner rather than later if they let Jose go? Who knows? I mean, you know, stranger things have happened in football. Wouldn't surprise me at all with this club if they get rid of Jose, pay him off and get Poch back. You know, it wouldn't amaze me at all, but I don't think we should be getting rid of Jose. I think we need to stick with him till the end of the season. But that's just my opinion. And in answer to your question, it wouldn't surprise me if he got the sack after the Villa game if we lose, God forbid. Yeah,
David, let's come to you. Super chat here from JJLL. Thank you very much. One question: do you remember us playing this bad under Ramos? Mourinho's living off his CV at the moment, and the system is outdated. I watched the 10th place Arsenal outplay us completely.
Look, it's a fair comment, but what I will say is we're in the midst of a rebuild. You know, between what Jose Mourinho wants and what's ultimately at our club, he's brought in a couple of players. We had one good window, but one good window isn't enough. We were told it's going to be a long, painful rebuild. Look, you get Mourinho, you bring in another manager, you're talking about another 2, 3, 4 years before you see results. Why wouldn't you give Mourinho the money to try and bring you the results? I don't understand that. Why won't you give him another window and go into next season and see what that yields? A lot, because like I said, it's not just Mourinho that's going to leave. You're talking about more players leaving. So why would you run the risk of losing your best players and sack Mourinho? You know what I mean? Why would you do that in risk of a rebuild and like you're completely rocking the core foundations of this team and the squad for no reason at all? You know, at the end of the day, Mourinho can only work with what he has, and he has tried. He's had patience with Ndombele. He's had patience with Bale. There's man management. He's brought them in. He's starting to get the best out of them. He's got more out of Ndombele than what Pochettino ever did, and he's got more out of Lamela than what Pochettino ever did. With the Dele Alli situation, that Dele Alli situation was hanging for a long time. Even the last year under Pochettino, he was bad. Look, just he's saying ENIC out manners. Look, I actually don't even think ENIC are the problem either, Chris. The business side of this football club is amazing. it's the football side that's been completely neglected. It's the scouting side, the people that are running, bringing in transfers, what's going on the pitch. That is literally the problem at this club right now.
But I think everyone's so frustrated in the fact that, I know a lot of people have slated the board in the past, but, when we have weeks like this, it's just awful, isn't it? And lots of people are blaming Jose, lots of people are blaming the players, and lots of people are blaming the board as well about the lack of investment, etc. Over this period of time when they've come in, and me talking about trophies as well, the lack of trophies in this time period as well. I think a lot of people have just had enough, and I completely agree with you in the fact that yes, they've delivered the best stadium in the world. They've delivered best training facilities. We've got all of these things. And Pochettino even said it. You can have a mansion, but you've got to have the furniture to go in it. And that is very clear and evident. And, when will it be happening? How do you feel about the board, David?
Look, look, I'll be honest. I'm not very impressed with the board. Look, they're multi-billionaires. You know what I mean? They could help this squad sometimes if they can. We're not talking about throwing in 250 million. Obviously, there's financial fair play, this, that, and the other, but they could have done a little bit more on the playing side of things. Like I said, they've completely just neglected football side of things. And you're talking about a proper scouting infrastructure. You're talking about people that are dealing in transfers, like people that can actually get transfers over the line that have a bit of pull, not someone like Steve Hitchin. I'm just annoyed at the board as everybody else. I don't think one League Cup in 20 years is enough. Just on what you were saying there about League Cup and top four, that'd be our best season in 20, 21, 22 years. Arguably, you could probably argue if that happens. But in terms of the board, it's a tough one because you have to weigh it up in terms of what they've delivered us, the club that we were when they bought it to what we are now in terms of infrastructure. Everything there is in place. They've given us everything there in place. Business side, like I said, bringing in income with the NFL deal, the sponsorship deal, and they're going to try and do the Damon rights deal, everything else around it, brilliant, perfect. What you want, it's the football side. So what I would like to do is actually hand Daniel Levy the business side, and I think the board need to bring in someone on the football side that, is and just back them as well as back Levy. But of course, we know Levy has a stake in Enix, so that's going to be near impossible to do. They have full control on the club.
You could see though, and you could certainly tell when Daniel Levy brought in Jose Mourinho that Daniel Levy wants to win trophies. He said it's about time now that we put trophies in the cabinet, and everyone connected to the club, David, and every fan out there, we all want to see trophies, being put in the cabinet. And when you bring someone like Jose Mourinho in, I'm not defending the board in any shape or form here, but when you show intent of bringing in a real serial winner in everything that Jose Mourinho has done, it's all about the ingredients now, isn't it? Of what he can do to take us forward and get these trophies over the line.
Yeah, well, look, it is about spending money in the right areas. It's not about spending massive amount of money. It's about spending it in the right areas. So, for instance, the team we're going to play now tomorrow, they brought in Tyrone Mings, Matty Cash, and Martinez. Now, they're challenging for Europa League. They're 5 points out Europa League this season. Now, if they didn't make them improvements, right, they'd be worse off this season because last season they barely avoided relegation. They made them improvements, brought in, spent in the right areas, and now all of a sudden they're challenging for Europe. That's how dramatic a good defence can be for you. So, look, we all say Mourinho is the best defensive coach in the world, so why wouldn't you let him rebuild the defence, which we all know is the problem?
Alex, let's come to you. The Jose bias is crazy, writes Brandon on screen now. Now, let me just come out with a stat. Now, Jose Mourinho has never, ever lost 10 Premier League games in a season, ever in his career. Spurs have lost 9 so far. We've got 10 Premier League games left. What worries me again as a Spurs fan is that Jose Mourinho is breaking so many managerial records while he's been at Spurs. He can't be happy with that, can he?
He's not going to be happy with it, no. But again, I think I'll answer this question like this. I watched Monday Night Football and Henry was on, Thierry Henry was on there, and he's saying about his experience as a manager. And he said that, whether I'm the great manager I am, I'm only as good as the players that I've got. and I don't think Jose understands that. You see, and I think unfortunately, until he understands that and you know, acclimatizes to that sort of environment, he will struggle. You know, because he's got the ideas of the tactics and stuff like that. Yes, you can say that he's a great tactician, but he's not a good man manager, and it's quite clear now that he's not very good. He doesn't. I think he gets very frustrated. I think he's the sort of man that talks at you and doesn't really understand anything, really, for me, and understand where the players come up at his point of view. And at the end of the day, he success is down to the players. So I'm sorry, but unfortunately, he does have to take a lot of the blame for me. And this is where I think, you know, we might get a result on Sunday, but then we'll see a lot of Tottenham fans saying, "Oh, hallelujah, happy days," you know. And then I think we're going to win the Carabao Cup because he's the perfect guy to win the final. I think
I'm with you, Alex.
City will have an off day, or you know, it'll be like the Manchester City match last year when Manchester City absolutely dominated us, but we'd taken our chances. So I really do think that, because that's what happens on the day at Wembley. You just do not know what's going to happen. But you know my feelings on just having the Carabao Cup final, just the Carabao Cup. And admittedly, if he does get top four, which again, I think it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Well, I think it's a non-starter now. But if there's a scenario of getting the Carabao Cup and the Champions League and getting to the top four, that's a great season, because he's achieved what the board wants: Champions League, the minimum, and the trophy. So, but I mean, looking at this game tomorrow, you know, I don't know what team's gonna turn up. What I will think is what will happen is he'll play his best 11. Now, for me, I wouldn't play Kane. Because it looks like, to me, Kane is knackered, absolutely knackered. I mean, Højbjerg, I think there's too much emphasis on Højbjerg for me, and that's why he's floundered the last couple of games, because he's been so tired, because he's played every single game. And we should have managed the game on Thursday without him, but we didn't. But he's going to be fit and well. I would play Son, because we've got an international break and we don't want him to go to play in the internationals and go all the way to Japan and play. We do not want that at the moment. So he's better off not playing and stay at home.
I think he is staying.
Well, thank goodness, because you don't want that. You just do not want that at the moment, don't you, really, with the current situation?
Alex, we will get into the Aston Villa game now. I'm just going to reply now to a message from Will Stewart. He said that I've missed a super chat from him. Will, apologies. I can't seem to get that up now. So if you can, just put it in a normal message. I'll make sure that we get that on screen as soon as possible and discuss that. So big apologies about that. Alex, let's come back to you. Obviously, Aston Villa on Sunday. You know, if Arsenal beat West Ham on Sunday at the 3 o'clock kickoff, and Spurs win at Villa Park, we could go up to 5th in the Premier League, 3 points away from top 4. Now, I want to turn this show into, this last part, I want to turn it into a bit of, positivity. And I know some people think that I'm very naive about, Tottenham can finish in the top 4 and Tottenham can win trophies, blah, blah, blah. But I like to try and be positive and believe in my club. Now, mathematically, we've got 10 games left in the Premier League. That is 30 points to play for. Now, if Tottenham go to Villa Park on Sunday and win, as I say, we could go up to 5th if Arsenal win. Team news, by the way: Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, as you said, Alex, is back. Eric Lamela is suspended. Lo Celso could feature, could get his first start since December. What are your thoughts going into this game, and what would be your predicted lineup for the game as well?
Well, I think it speaks for itself. I think he's going to play, obviously, Lloris in goal. He's going to have I think it's going to be Aurier. Then you've got Alderweireld and Sanchez, which I still don't feel comfortable with. And then you've got Reguilon. Then you're going to have Højbjerg. I would say Ndombele. I would say possibly Lo Celso. in the number 10 role. And then you've got Kane. Well, actually, no, you've got Moira there. And then I don't feel comfortable with Bell on the right-hand side, but he's going to put Bell on the right-hand side. Then Kane. And I'd like to see Bergwijn. I think Bergwijn's actually I think people have a go at him too much. I think he was playing very well. I think he was playing really well. He didn't score goals, no, but he was doing the job that Jose wants. He's actually better than Bell on that right-hand side for me, because he actually helps Aurier back him up when the attack comes on, when we come on the attack. And also he's got pace. So I think that's what the team will be on Sunday.
Craig, how are you feeling about the Aston Villa game Sunday?
Do you know, bizarrely, as we said before, as it gets nearer the game, I'm getting more confident. And probably if you ask me the question, you know, there's no reason we shouldn't, even with Jack Grealish back, there's no reason we shouldn't be beating Villa. Come on. If we've got any ambitions at all, with the greatest respect to Villa, we should be beating them. So I would personally think 2-0 or 2-1 Tottenham win. And like you, to be honest, I've never discounted top four. Is it possible? Yes. Is it probable? You could argue no, but I still think we've got a chance. I really do. If the results go our way tomorrow, like you've stated, like they have done in the past, we're 3 points off top four. And we've got a fairly good goal difference still, I believe. So if possible, we could go on a run. We've got a favourable run in, I think it's fair to say, compared to the teams around us. I think West Ham must be having a few tough games coming up now, I think. And I don't know what Chelsea's is like. I don't really look at other teams until it gets down to the nitty-gritty of it. But we've still got a chance to get top four. And the blessing, as people have said before, now we've gone out of Europe, we've got one game a week, more or less. So there's no reason he can't play Bale every game, if he maintains his form, of course. There's no reason he can't play Kane and Son when they're fit. So you'd think he could pick his strongest 11, in theory, every single game now, barring injuries. Perhaps varying things up, obviously leading into the cup final. But yeah, it's possible. It's possible still finishing top four. And I do expect us to beat Villa tomorrow still, because if the players aren't up for this, I want to see a reaction tomorrow. I want to see a massive reaction tomorrow. I want to see the heart and the determination. And I think we'll see tomorrow a different Tottenham. I hope we do. And we'll certainly see the players prove that they actually want to play for the badge.
When you say, though, Craig, about Jose is going to be putting out his strongest possible 11, you know, what is his strongest possible 11? And, you know, it's proved, you know, even against the Arsenal, you know, in the Arsenal game on Sunday, you know, best possible 11 played in that game, probably. And, you know, they didn't deliver. You know, players went missing in that game. What's happened to the likes of Joe Rodon, Japhet Tanganga, Steven Bergwijn? Will they get a chance to feature for you?
God, I mean, it depends how he wants to play it. Is he going to go with what he trusts? Is he going to stick with what he seems to have done all season? Is what he trusts? I mean, how he can trust anyone after the last two performances, I don't know. So where that leaves him, Christ only knows. But would you risk, if you was in Jose's position? I think you're asking yourself that question. And I know we don't see the players, but would you risk and would you trust Joe Rodon and Tanganga coming in, playing centre back over Sanchez and Alderweireld? I know Alex is not a fan of that partnership, but honestly, in my opinion, and I never thought I'd say this with Sanchez, but that is for me the favourite centre back partnership this week. And I have to say this week because I haven't known that all season. I thought Joe Rodon actually did pretty well when he was in the team for a little while. You know, I thought even against Chelsea, massive game to bring him in for. And yeah, he made that mistake at the end, but luckily it didn't cost us. Giroud missed it. He had a pretty good game. Every game I've seen him, he seems to have grown into it. Apparently he talks a lot. So I don't know. I don't know what way Jose's going to go on that, to be honest. For me, Bergwijn, I thought he was going to be a real gem when we got him, but I don't know what's happened to him. He seems to have gone backwards. I'd have Bale, you know, I'm a Bale fan, Chris, and I'd have Bale in every time he's fit over anybody. But I just think if you ask him Bale to track back and defend, that's not what he does. That's not what he's about. You know, you've got, that's why you've got the double pivot. I think that's been proved. You know, with Sissoko when he's in there, whoever's playing in there, you cover the right back. Leave Bale to do his stuff further up the pitch. Almost play a 4-3-3, and let Bale be an old right winger, if you like, because you're not going to get the tracking back from him. And why should you? There's plenty of other players to do that job. He shouldn't be asked to do that all the time. I know that's what Mourinho wants a lot of the time, but perhaps that needs to be looked at. You know, let's make teams worry about what we're going to do, not worry about other teams. Whether he's going to go like that against City in the cup final, God only knows. But I think against Villa, we could perhaps be a bit more attacking, certainly.
David, with this awful week we've had, probably Jose Mourinho's worst week as Tottenham boss, you know, so far. You know, we're going into the international break. This is a huge 3 points is up for grabs here, isn't it? A huge, because, you know, when we're going into international break, having that really poor week, 3 points is an absolute must. And if we were 5th in the Premier League, as I said, if Arsenal beat West Ham and Spurs are 5th in the Premier League, 3 points from top 4, it would, I suppose, make a lot of Tottenham fans perhaps believe that we could go on and get that European spot, whether it will be a Europa League spot or a Champions League spot for next season.
Look, we're Tottenham fans. The only thing we ever have is belief. You know what I mean? So we have to believe. No, look, even if West Ham win, they're going to be joint points with Chelsea, so we're still going to be 6th with 3 points off top 4. So we just need to win tomorrow and put the pressure on. We need to put ourselves in that mix and have teams looking over the shoulder at us. Now that we're going to have 1 game a week, Mourinho's starting lineup tomorrow for me is going to be very, very telling on players that he's going to use going forward, and, you know, players that if he stays, he's definitely going to keep compared to ones that are going to go. I think his lineup's going to be very, very telling. But no, look, you know, as Tottenham fans, we can give up all we want. At the end of the day, if we win tomorrow, it is back on. Top 4 is back on. And if we can salvage our season with top 4 and a League Cup, I'll take it at this point. I don't care what's gone on so far. The top of the league, Europa League exit, it's all done. If we can come out of this season and salvage it with the best case scenario with a League Cup and top 4, brilliant. I'll take it. It's not the season what we expected, but it's our best season in Enix ownership. Do you know what I mean? In terms of success. So I would 100% take it. I think we need to focus now on trying to salvage our season. I just want to say one thing. Alex does make me laugh though, right? Because when Bergwijn was playing, now hear me out, right? When Bergwijn was playing, Alex was sitting there saying, like, Mourinho should be getting better out of this front line. You know what I mean? He should be playing more attacking football. So he takes Bergwijn out, who offered nothing, no assists, no goals. Brings on Gareth Bale, who had his best performances on the right. He has more goals and assists than Bergwijn, right? We played some attacking football, okay, bar the last 2 games. We've got results, and now he wants Bergwijn back in. I don't understand it, like.
Bergwijn is a good player. I'm sorry, he was doing the job that Jose wants. Okay, and I'm sorry. I think again, as I said, he's got the pace up. He's got the pace on the right, and to be honest with you, Bell up front. Okay, that's better for him. I do blame him because he specifically said to Jose, "I want to play on the right," and I was like, "Well, sorry, mate, but you haven't got the pace to play on the right. The Premier League's all about pace."
Yeah, but Bale ain't got pace. Did you just say Gareth Bale hasn't got? Really?
He has not got pace.
Have a race against him, Alex.
No, he has not got pace.
Alex, you can say it's all about pace all you want, but Gareth Bale has less pace than Bergwijn. He's more end product than him. So it's not really all about pace.
He's lethal in the box.
So I just want to say one thing. On the centre-back partnership, I wouldn't be 100% sure that it's going to be Sanchez, you know. He played a full game there midweek. He was awful. I literally wouldn't be surprised to see Dyer back in beside maybe Alderweireld or even Joe Rodon in there. And at right back, I think Mourinho has no option now but to play Tanganga. Doherty and Aurier have let him down way too much this season. He has no option but to play Tanganga in my eyes. And then on Lo Celso, I think he played a lot more minutes than what he was expected to play midweek. So I don't think you'll see him from the start either.
Yeah. It'd be very interesting, David, as you say, the starting 11, you know, when he spoke about players, when Hugo Lloris has spoken about players, it is very clear and evident that there are players there that are upsetting, some of the dressing room, and some feel that they're not given enough. Alex, Will Stewart writes this comment. So, Will, thank you very much for resubmitting this comment, and I'm sorry that I missed it in the first place. Alex, Jose's not a coach. Harry Kane's best season, Heung-min Son's best season, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Southampton's a star. Lamela, it hurts me to say, but it's his best season in 4 years. Even Lucas Moura as well.
Okay. With Kane was always going to improve. He's been doing that for a long time now, so I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. Son, the reason why Son's as good as he is because of Pochettino. Okay, because the first season wasn't great, and he was actually going to leave because we persuaded him to stay, and that was because of Pochettino. Højbjerg was his player, okay, and Højbjerg does what he does, okay, so I'm not having that one. Lamela has always been hard-working. It's just the injuries that have stopped him. And Moura, I'm sorry, but Moura should be up front, and he's doing well. He's actually doing not too badly, so I will give him the Moura improvement, yes, because he plays in the middle. When he plays on the right and the left, he doesn't look right. It just doesn't look right with him. And I've always said that with him. Maybe he's better up front. And I think for me, he's kind of a guy that you'd like to play in the last 15 minutes because I think he is that sort of player, to be honest with you. But he does fit well in the middle. He is playing better than Ali, admittedly. But I'm sorry, but those players, they were always going to evolve because they've got the capacity to do that. What my issue is with Mourinho is the way he treats the players, and I think it's old-fashioned. I'm not going to say it's outdated because I think that's completely disrespectful. We have to be respectful here because the man has done very well in his career. So he hasn't done well at Tottenham, respectfully. But he has done very well in his career. You have to be respectful here. But for me, the way that he has managed the players, the squad, this is the important part. The squad has not been very good at all. And that's where I have my issue. I don't think it's going to work in terms of him. Now, I really want it to work in terms of because I want Tottenham to be successful. But he does need top four. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be positive about this. And I'm going to be real with you. It's not going to happen. Okay, the maximum points we can get with 10 games is 75 points. I think it is now. Okay, Leicester and Manchester City, Manchester United are very, very close to that at the moment. Okay, and then you've got Chelsea that I don't even look at them anymore, to be honest with you, because I just think I think Tottenham should just worry about the results at the moment and see where we can come out. I mean, if we could get into Europe, that'll be okay because at least then next season we can develop the squad and we've got more games to give more chances to our young players and try and grow the squad. Yes, but it's a failure if we don't get Champions League football, and that's my opinion. It's the board's opinion as well. But Alex, on the result tomorrow, I really do hope that we either do a 2-1. A 2-1. I'm hoping
there's a few people that agree with some of your comments, and there's an awful lot that don't. Craig, let's come to you.
He's used to it, though. He's well able to handle it, aren't you, Alex?
You know how it goes, David, don't we? You know how it goes, isn't it?
Craig, let's come to you. 10 Premier League games left, 30 points up for grabs. Now, I'm going to read out Tottenham's remaining fixtures in the Premier League. Aston Villa away. We'll talk about the away games first. Aston Villa, Newcastle, Everton, Leeds and Leicester. And then the 5 remaining home games, Manchester United, Sheffield United, Wolves, Aston Villa and Southampton. How many points realistically do you see Tottenham getting? And realistically here, I know we're all Tottenham fans. I know some of us will get carried away saying, yeah, I think we're getting to top 4. But realistically, Craig, do you think that Tottenham can get that Champions League spot, top 4? Are we dreaming, or will we get a Europa League spot, or will we get no European football at all?
Oh, God, I think you're so close that a couple of wins on the spin gets you right up there. I mean, you saw what happened, when we won 3 on the spin the other week. We made up ground on teams above us because you just never know what's going to go on. Realistically, oh God, 25 points. I'm going to say 25 from 30, and knowing Tottenham. You asked me to be positive. You wanted to finish on a positive note. I'm being positive.
That's positive.
If you'd asked me at the start, I said 10. All right, so I'm trying to be positive. No, but realistically, when you look at it, we should be beating a majority of those teams, and perhaps you take a draw. Let's say Leicester and United, right? The rest, if we've got any dreams of winning the bloody Premier League, we should be beating these teams you've rolled off there. I'm sorry, we're Tottenham Hotspur, for Christ's sake. You know, come on. You know, the players have got to have a bit of belief. I mean, 10 games. If you said 10 games, and if you win all those 10 games, you're going to be in the Champions League next year. Surely that's all he's got to say. He said, you've done bugger all else. You know, you've got us to a cup final. You ain't won it yet. In fact, players should be playing for their place in that cup final. That should be all the motivation they need for the moment, you know? So yeah, I'm going to stick with 25 points. And then at the end of the season, we'll have another chat and see if I was right. I'm probably bloody miles off. But, you know, you wanted me to be positive, Chris, so you're rubbing off on me now. So I'm going to say 25.
Do you know, it's so funny. That's what I love about David, and that's why I've been on this show so often. The biggest smile I've seen from David this week is when he heard me say the line, I'm going to be positive in this second half of the show and talk about, you know, Tottenham getting these points for the remaining of the season. David, out of 30 possible points, how many do you think the Spurs will pick up?
Come on, Dave.
Look, I think 20 is definitely achievable. Is it going to be enough to get us over the line? I'm not quite sure. That's the only thing. I'd like to think it is, but I definitely think 20 points is achievable. I do think we are going to go on a run. I'm always optimistic. I do think we'll be seeing Champions League football next week. I do actually have to go, Chris, because I have my own show at 9 o'clock. Sorry about that, but thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
but before I go, I just want to say to Alex, imagine if we win on Sunday. Alex international break, he's going to have a meltdown because Mourinho might keep his job for the international break, so he's going to be very unhappy.
Yeah. David, thank you very much for joining us.
I think we're going to get top 4 100%. Champions League football will be at the Hotspur Stadium next season. Everyone, I hope you really enjoyed the stream. Smash a like on it, smash a subscribe. Chris is brilliant at what he does. Thanks very much for having me on. I would love to stay. I really would. I'm really enjoying myself. But I do have my stream and I can't be late for it. Sorry, Chris.
That's right. I'm sure all the viewers will leave this channel now and go over to yours.
No. Completely stay here. You've more than enough time before mine starts. Look, Chris, you've 40,000. I've only 1,500. So I think they'll all be staying here. But it's been a pleasure, Chris, Craig, and Alex. And hopefully we win tomorrow. And I'll definitely be speaking to you after the game tomorrow, Chris, especially if we win. Brilliant.
Thank you very much. Cheers, David. Speak to you soon.
See you, mate. See you, mate. See you, mate.
Alex, let's come to you. Will Stewart writes another super chat. Thank you very much, Will. Seeing some Korean mates in the chat here. There are a fair few Korean comments, so thank you very much for those as well. Chris, the fans in Korea are screaming for Heung-min Son to leave, wanting him a big move in the summer. Now, I've spoke to a number of South Korean fans as well, and you know, they just want the best for Heung-min Son. They want to see Heung-min Son winning trophies. You know, it's a big worry, Alex, isn't it? The fact that, you know, our two main stars, Harry Kane and Heung-min Son, it is constantly talked about them possibly leaving the club if we don't deliver trophies and don't get Champions League football.
I'm sorry, Chris, but unfortunately, I've just got to disappoint Tottenham fans. They're leaving. They are leaving. Unfortunately, it was telling that the way that people were feeling after that Europa League game on Thursday, and I think if we won the Europa League, it would have gave us a massive opportunity to move on as a club. It would have proved a lot of people wrong. Kane and Son would definitely stay for me, because for me, Kane, and I put this example out about Kane. You know who got the Euros? coming up, and he's going to be in the England squad. He's going to go to England, and he might meet Henderson. He's going to meet Sterling and meet Manderson and Barnes, and he'll say, "Well, I've won the Carabao Cup this season. Well, I've just got into the Champions League, and I've just won the Premier League. I've just won the Champions League. I've just won the Europa League. Oh, so I'm the best striker in the world, and I can only show for a Carabao Cup. You know what I mean? And you're supposed to be the best striker in the world. You know, so I'm sorry, but unfortunately, I'm quite real in my team because unfortunately we don't live in Disney, make-believe land here. Unfortunately, he will leave, and if he doesn't leave, he loves this club, and I think we should be thankful for that. Absolutely thankful to the guy that he's staying for this club. I know, and also he's got to consider his injuries at the moment. You know, because of the ankle injuries he's had, the age he is at the moment. You know, he will leave. You know what I mean? And on Son, people say Real Madrid and Barcelona are not going to be able to afford him. Now, look how much you can get for him and the market you can get for him as well. Barcelona are thinking, Real Madrid are thinking, fantastic, great market. You just need to sell loads of shirts and you can make that money back. So, I'm sorry, but Son can easily go in the summer. Easily go in the summer. So, unfortunately, it's going to be like, unfortunately, 2008, where ironically we won the Carabao Cup, won the League Cup then. And look what happened then. Berbatov and Keane left, didn't they? It's amazing how things work in circles, Chris, isn't it? It's amazing.
Yeah. So, for you, Alex, what keeps Heung-min Son and Harry Kane at the club?
The only way is getting top four, which is not going to happen, and the Carabao Cup. You can't just have one, unfortunately. Even the top four, because I do agree with somebody that said something about this as well. You need to have both. It's not good enough because they are quality players that will look back at their careers and think some of the players that have won the Premier League and the Champions League and the Europa League are no better than them. And why they're not achieving those sort of things? Because even now, the FA Cup now, is that a major achievement now? I mean, it'd be a major achievement in our recent history, yes, but it's about those big trophies now, isn't it? It's about the Premier League, it's about the Champions League, it's about the Europa League, because of the prestigious thing about it. You know, you want to look back at your career and think, I've won this. I mean, I think we've been really lucky that Lloris has stayed for how long he has. You know, I think that you've been very, very lucky. I'm just reading this comment here. I'm just trying to understand what he's just saying here. But
Lappers82, thank you very much for your comment. To Chris, Craig, and Alex, if you were either Harry Kane or Heung-min Son, all loyalties aside, would you leave in the summer? I think I've answered that many times before. Sadly, I think if I was one of them, I would leave because I want more. I
wouldn't keep Bell. I wouldn't keep Bell for another season, no. And it's quite interesting. That don't look like a certainty because I don't think, they haven't negotiated anything for next season for him. Even though there's something on the table, they have to negotiate. And for me, I wouldn't keep him next season because I think it's stopping another player from developing. And we need to look to the future. That's what we were doing, you know, under Poch, and when we had John McDermott, the youth director, and then we had Paul Mitchell. We were looking at the future. I just think that most of our players are at their prime at the moment. I think people also need to be respectful to Aurier because I think Aurier's had a really hard time last year when he lost his brother and he kept on playing for us. And I think Tottenham fans need to remember that because I think people completely forget about that. And he's actually, you know, I have a lot of respect for Aurier, even though, because we all know that we've got a problem with our foreign quota. We all know and that's the club's fault, you know, for that, because we've had 4 years of that. I mean, it's amazing that I mean, this is why I think people are really angry about Dyer's situation, is that everyone knows that he's technically a foreign player in the Premier League and Europe as well, because he came from a foreign academy, and we've got problems with players who are eligible as homegrown players in the Premier League, but not eligible as a homegrown player in the Europa League because of the foreign player rule. So they need to deal with that. That's the first thing they need to deal with in the summer, because that just shows how badly they've been managed, the squad's been managed. So, you know, I just think that people need to remember that some of these players have been through a lot, and, you know, and just be respectful to them, and especially Rory. I think it's not surprising that he walked off after that game, because, you know, he must have been very hurt with some of the comments that have been made about him. And I just think we should be more respectful to him, really. That's my thoughts on him anyway.
Well, last question for both of you. Craig, let's start with you. Score prediction for the Aston Villa game, and where you think Tottenham will finish at the end of the season.
2-1 Tottenham tomorrow. And honestly, realistically, I think we'll finish 6th, if I'm being brutally honest at the moment, by the way we're playing. But 6th, I think, yeah.
Craig, I completely agree with you. I've been thinking about this all week, and I would love to sit here and say that I think that Tottenham will finish in the top 4, but I just think that, you know, with the season being so up and down, I do think that we will get a result on Sunday against Villa. I do think we will win 2-1, and I'm just praying and hoping that that is the case, because going into the international break, I think it will give everyone huge belief that we could possibly get that top 4. But with the results that we've had, you know, so far, and particularly these last 6-8 weeks, you know, up, down, I think we'll finish 6th, which should get us a Europa League spot. Alex, what about you?
I think we'll win 2-1 against Aston Villa, and I tend to agree with you both. 6th. I think that if we could get a good run, we could at least finish 5th, because I think we can still go above West Ham, at least. Because I'm not really happy that they're there at the moment, and I've been hearing that they're the top. They're thinking that they're the top team in London now. They're saying, they're claiming now that they're the top team in London. I'm not happy with that at all. So, yeah, I would like to be above West Ham. Thank you very much.
Well, it's amazing, Alex, isn't it? After the week that we've had, losing at Arsenal, losing to Dynamo Zagreb, getting dumped out of the Europa League, all 3 of us are going for a 2-1 Spurs win on Sunday night against Aston Villa. And we will leave it on that positive note. Craig and Alex, thank you so much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you both. I didn't realise that we were going to be talking for nearly an hour and 45.
Chris, all I want to hear is from you. Sorry to interrupt you. All I want to hear is the trophies are coming from you. That's all I want to hear from you, mate.
You won't be hearing that. You won't be hearing that until the evening of the 25th of April, hopefully.
Look, the good thing about that, Chris, is you haven't put a date on it. You never say the trophies are coming by the end of the season. So just keep saying the trophies are coming. Yeah. Could mean 20 years, you know.
Yeah.
Still,
yeah. They've been coming for the last 13 years. I'm just, you know, they must just still be with DPD or someone, you know. Really.
That'll be on your headstone, won't it, Chris? Here lies Chris Cowlin. The trophies were coming.
The trophies were coming, yeah.
And the stadium updates as well.
Sorry?
Stadium updates as well, isn't it? You know, we all know your stadium updates.
Stadium updates. People love the panels. People love the panels.
That's what the headstone will be, a panel with the trophies were coming.
Craig and Alex, thank you very much. Speak to you soon. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.